Welcome to Jagannath. Please do not walk on the stage. For those of you seated on the front row, please do not place your feet on the stage. If you want to meet with members of the company after the show, please go downstairs to the stage door next to the restrooms. Photography is not allowed. Please do not text. The light disturbs players and audience alike. Please switch off your mobile phone. Have you switched it off? Good. Now we can begin.
ಚೆಲುವೆಯನೋಟ ಚೆನ್ನ ಒಲವಿನ ಮಾತು ಚೆನ್ನ
ಮಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೂವೇ ನಿನ್ನ ನಗುವು ಇನ್ನೂ ಚೆನ್ನ
ಚೆಲುವೆಯನೋಟ ಚೆನ್ನ ಒಲವಿನ ಮಾತು ಚೆನ್ನ ಮಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೂವೇ. Asma! Where are you, Asma? I'm not talking to you, alright? I am hating you. What? You are also hating me. So, what for me? I'm having so many friends. Better friends than you, you proudy girl. What? What you said? I am cheating. You are a liar. A big, big liar. Liar lipstick. Liar, liar lipstick. Sitting on a broomstick. Broomstick broke. Liar got a poke. Liar. What? What, Asma? Poke? I am not knowing the meaning of poke. Chee! Really? That is the meaning of poke? Chee! Who told? Your cousin. Your cousin is knowing so much, no? What else he is knowing? But Asma, I'm talking to you now, no? I'm not fighting with you. I'm not hating you. Never, never. You're my bestest friend, Asma. Bester than everybody. Promise.
You see me sitting here on this old armchair, sitting back, smoking, apparently at peace. How would you describe me? Middle-aged? Graying? Distinguished? Certainly distinguished. I get that from my father, about being distinguished. My fucking father. Damn him. Yes, you're right. I'm not at peace. I may appear to be, but I am not. I only have to trick myself into believing that everything is fine. But it's not true. Things haven't been fine since I was 20. 20 and rusticated. Expelled from college.
Asma, you're there, Asma. I'm crying because again my auntie, she is beating me. Beating me so hard my sitting part is paining. Because she's saying I'm not doing my study. I'm only playing with you. She's saying your friend is having father, mother, money, but you are having nothing. No father, no mother, nothing. So why are you playing like a fool? Go study, learn IE, read books, get job, get money. Don't play with rich girls. What, Asma? E, ooh, ooh, E, ooh.
Expelled. Rusticated. Thrown out. To be fair, what else could those poor bastards do? Yes, all right, I was the son of an important man, a political personage, as they say. Well, my father, he had all the money, all the pull. But not this time, man, not this time. That lady was shrewd. She went straight to his political foes. God, what a bloody hoo-ha there was. My father, well, he thought he would have to quit, and that he wouldn't do. Oh, my dear father, quit? Oh, no. His post was more bloody important than his own son. How that woman outsmarted him. Ha! Hey! Where are my bloody cigarettes? Hey! There's nobody there, bloody rascals. So there my father was, saddled with a rusticated son, a personal bloody political embarrassment. So what did he do? Rusticated me again. Sent me back to his stinking family house in his constituency. Stopped me from showing as much as my nose in the city. Expelled, exiled, all in the same breath.
But Asma, Rama was not a bad man. He was a god. He was killing Ravana because Ravana was the bad man with 10 heads and red eyes. What? I am not knowing why his eyes were red. I think soap must have went into his eyes.
You know what that Chinese somebody or the other said? That if rape is inevitable, lie back and enjoy it. That's exactly what I decided to do. I decided to enjoy myself in exile. After all, I had this huge mansion and a bloody retinue of servants, madly faithful, coddling me like I was a bloody infant, buling and puking. Puking I jolly well was in the first fucking days. Drank myself blind. Then, one evening, my old friend the postman came to me and asked me very politely if I needed a woman. Very understanding fellow my friend was those days. The first thing that he assured me was that the woman he had in mind was clean, exclusive, most important, would not get me into any kind of trouble. So that night, I was taken through winding lanes to a small cottage, and I was made to wait there in pitch darkness. Till a woman came with a shaded hurricane lantern. Even till this day, I don't know why I waited there in that cloistered darkness like a bloody thief. At some point, I wanted to shout out the choicest of abuses and get the hell out of there. But I waited.
Asma, when we are big, we'll stay in the same house, no? And I'll comb your hair, and I'll make you sleep in my lap, and I'll tell you stories. King Queen stories. Asma, listen, I have to tell you something. Something so funny. In the night yesterday, I wanted to drink water, so I got up. But my auntie was not sleeping near me. I couldn't open the door also. It was locked. And then suddenly, so funny, I heard a man's voice. And he was saying, ee. Yes, really. So loudly he was saying, ee. So funny, no? He was saying the Alifa words in the night.
I waited. She came into the room so quietly that I did not even know she had come. She took me by the hand. She lay me down. She was naked, soft, fragrant with 1,000 jasmines. And then, I don't know where she learnt her skills, but in a moment her mouth was on mine, her tongue in me, elsewhere, everywhere, darting, licking, tasting. I was wet with her tongue, wet and hot and raging, wild to get into her. At some point I heard a child cry, but then she was doing something to me that was Oh, so delicious that I don't even know if I'd imagined it. What a fool I was. A bloody fool.
Asma! Asma, see my new dress! You like it? My auntie got it for me. Wait. She got me new shoe and white sock also, like yours. Now I also want to learn English. I don't want this thing anymore. I am wanting to learn A for apples, B for balls. What, Asma? B for ball. Alright. Not balls. B for ball. C for cats. D for
I
dog.
couldn't stay away from her. She was the next drink, the next cigarette, the drug forgetting, hard, unending pleasure. The entire day was a waiting for the night, the darkness, the back door, her smell, her hair along my thighs, her hands exploring, her hollows and spheres, her whispers. It was only her, always her. And she knew it. Oh yes, she did. She took money from me every month on some pretext to buy her household necessities, the works, and the postman. He made me give him money every month to educate one of his little brats. Oh, not in any school, man. Not in any corporation schools down the lane. No, Mr. Postman wanted only the best. The only English medium school in the fucking district. What do you think? I did it. I actually became a benefactor. A blackmailed philanthropist.
Asma! Asma! Big news! Very big news! Asma, I'm going to your school! To your school, Asma. Yes, my auntie's given fees and everything. Yes, promise. I'm going to class 1. Not to your class. But that's alright, it's the same school, no? And we'll play together so much. And I'll also learn English, like you. Asma, you'll help me, no? I'm so happy. I am going to Asma school, English school, English school.
Cheluveya nota chenna, valavina matu chenna, mallige huve ninna, naguvu innu chenna, cheluveya nota chenna. I was smitten. What else can I say? I was 20 and completely smitten. Obsessed. Here I was in the coils of a woman about whom I knew nothing. Not even her name. I would not have even found a house by the daylight. It was still the postman who took me there every single night in the darkness so deep. It was as if I was blindfolded. Blinded. You find that strange, do you? But tell me, what use had I for her name? Her house number? How did it all even matter to me? I wasn't really interested in her, you know. Beyond the activities of the night. She was the body of a woman who knew its job and knew it bloody well. But now when I think of those nights, I get aroused, to put it bloody mildly. Hey! I want another bottle, Daniel! Yes! Now! That was all it was. An obsession. A straightforward sexual obsession. How did it happen? Well, I was young, untried, innocent too in a way. Innocent. Well, of course, there were those episodes in college. But they were all done with consent. I was just bloody unlucky with that lecturer woman. She wouldn't keep her mouth shut. My father could have paid her off, you know. Anyway, what the hell, I merely put my hand down the front of her blouse. It was a bet. That's all. That's all. And I paid for it. I paid for it in every way.
Asma, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. I've got a double promotion. Asma, I'm now in your class with you. I'm so lucky. So very lucky. Who? Auntie. I don't know. She's changed so much. She looks so tired. And today again she says she has some correction work to finish. And she'll be in the next room. You know, Asma, I can't understand why she locks my door every night. She's done it all these years. She keeps a jug of water on the table for me and just locks the door. Why?
Where in the bloody hell is my drink? Are all your masters dead? What? 2nd October, ah. Why didn't you think of it before, you idiot? Alright, get me anything, any poison. After I am dead, I hope they celebrate my birthday with bloody orgies. 9 years it went on. 9 bloody years. Every single night. Except for those 3 days of the month. Of course, I looked around for others, tried some. They weren't the same. Let me tell you, this woman had me hooked. I couldn't stay away from her. I kept all the conditions that she and the postman had imposed on me. I asked them no questions. I did no probing. Once, I asked her what her name was. She said, call me whatever you want, it's all the same. I did exactly that. I called her a different name each night. The names of my girlfriends, the ones I'd lusted after, the ones I'd fantasized about. And she responded as if she didn't really care. It was a bit eerie in a way, but frankly, it gave me a great kick. It felt like I owned an entire harem.
Oh, Asma, I know how to take care of myself. My auntie doesn't need to lock the door for that. I'm so safe here. I'm everybody's baby. They all know about how my auntie brought me here after my mother died. And they all say, you were such a tiny baby, as small as a sparrow. We thought you were going to die. But look at you now, so pretty, so grown up. Have you begun menstruating? Who? Who thought I was pretty? That man who came to school today. The son of the chief guest. Chee! He looks as if he drinks liquor instead of water. Did you see his eyes? Like red gooseberries. Like Ravana's eyes. Come on, Asma. Don't tease me about that fellow. He was looking at all the girls okay, not just me.
You know something? Apart from the sensations of the night, I hardly had much of a life those days. I slept through mornings and afternoons and surfaced only in the evenings. Like a resident of a red light area. My father, well, my stinking father almost became proud of me. When he came for one of his political visits to charm and confound the masses, he couldn't believe I'd stayed home all day. I drank less. I wasn't petticoat chasing. Little did he know. Can you believe? He actually took me to all his official functions, to blood donation camps, to the inauguration of a water supply scheme, even to the bloody sports day of the English medium school. What did he feel? That he was grooming me as his political successor? That hypocritical bastard. Everything in his life was either politically useful or not useful. Even paternal love. Love for his only son. His only child, damn it. No wonder my mother died when I was 12.
Dear Asma, why do terrible things happen all at the same time? My auntie dead, and you gone. Why did your father have to get transferred so far away? I still can't believe I can't talk to you through the window. That I can't see you or hear you. That you're only in my mind now. Always in my mind. About auntie. What can I say? She got that cough again. The one she had on and off for the last couple of years. But Asma, this time it was really bad. And I didn't notice. You had just left. The rest of the world had disappeared. I didn't know what was happening around me. And then 2 days ago, my auntie came into my room gasping for breath and collapsed on the floor. I called the doctors, all the neighbors came rushing, but it was too late. She was gone. And then suddenly there were priests and rituals and a crowd of people, and she was taken away. Now I am alone.
How could it happen all of a sudden? Damn it, a woman can't just die like that. Alright, she had a bit of a wheezy cough now and then, but she told me it was always because of a change in weather. I'd myself not visited her for about a week. Had a bit of fever and stuff. But that evening I was all shaky with wanting her. And the idiot postman comes and tells me she's dead. Just like that. Dead.
No, I shouldn't make you worried. I'm not really all alone. Everybody has been so kind to me. They've been in and out of the house, bringing me food, staying by me, making me eat. But what is really strange is that the postman, do you remember him? That old kind man? He is apparently a distant relative. In fact, he did the funeral rites. I can't understand why I wasn't told earlier. Why is there all this mystery?
I went mad. I couldn't bear it. I wouldn't bear it. How could she leave me and go off altogether? How dare she die? I wanted to hit back at her. Hurt her. Make her cry in pain. I wanted revenge. Revenge. So I decided to stop paying the school fees.
Dear Asma, I got another shock when I went to school this morning. I was told that the scholarship has been stopped and I would have to pay myself for this last year at school. Luckily, it's only a few more months. But what do I do? There's only a little money in my auntie's bank account and she has some savings in a fixed deposit. But I don't want to use that. I don't need clothes because I have my auntie's saris. But I do need to eat. Again, luckily, and this is really lucky, this house apparently belongs to our mysterious postman. So I don't have to look for another place to stay. Where would I have gone anyway?
Yes, I stopped paying the school fees. Why not? Why the hell did I need to educate that postman's little brat anymore? She could go to the devil for all that I cared.
Dear Asma, don't worry. I've got a job. You remember the garment factory that the father of Red Gooseberry Eye started just outside the town? Well, some voluntary organization from the city is supporting an Anganwadi center for the children of the factory workers, and they want me to work there. It suits me very well. I've also decided to be an external student so that I don't have to pay so much fees. I miss school. Very much. But what does one do? I miss you, Asma. I miss you so terribly.
The postman came to see me after 10 days. Apparently his sister-in-law's sister had died. Talk of close family connections. I never knew that this bastard had a stinking relative in it. Must have been one of those ancient toothless hags that you see around the place. Anyway, I asked him to find me another woman. close to the other one as possible. Her sister or something. That bastard. He asked me why I stopped paying the school fees. Can you believe it, that fucking bastard? I told him I'll hound him out of town, set the police on him. He spat on the ground and walked out. Can you believe that bastard actually turned his back to me and walked out of the bloody door?
My dearest Asma, I have some strange news for you. The old postman is my uncle. My dead father's older brother. My very own uncle. Can you believe that? You must be so surprised. Wait, let me explain. Apparently, my father was a wild sort of person, always fighting for people's rights and so on. And what must he do but marry a poor widow, my mother? The family promptly disowned him, and he had to go to another town looking for a job. He was first class first in university, but he ended up as a cook. He couldn't get any other job. Can you imagine? He must have been heartbroken. He died a few weeks before I was born. And my mother? She died giving me birth. My auntie was with her there, and she brought me here, to my father's hometown.
I was so angry I could have gone after him and throttled him. I almost did, but I thought better of it. It would be a greater pleasure to have the police harass him. So I called the DSP and over a drink told him how this fella had cheated me and not given me the goods I had paid for. That idiot DSP didn't know what the goods were. Insisted on mine. That fucking bastard sits in my house drinking my scotch, starts questioning me. I told him I'll charge him for insubordination. He got scared like any sensible man would. But he kept sticking to the same point till I finally told him what the goods were. He was highly tickled. He said he never thought that the postman was up to something like this. But he wanted proof. Who was this woman? Where did she live? What was her name? Blathering idiot.
My auntie brought me here. And I suppose she approached my father's relatives. Only my uncle was still alive. And he has a very, very suspicious wife and 3 daughters. But he took pity on my auntie and somehow got her a job in the municipality school and allowed her to stay in this broken down 2-room house. My grandfather used to use it as his office. But I think he must have been a very bad lawyer because he made no money. The family became poorer and poorer. A poor uncle. His wife would not allow him to help us in any other way. But you know, Asma, you know that scholarship I got? I think my uncle has something to do with that. But then why did he take it away from me before I finished school? There are so many things I just don't understand. I feel too shy to ask him. Why aren't you here, Asma? I need you. How much I need you.
I couldn't answer any of the DSP idiot's questions. I told him just arrest the postman on some trumped up charge. But he shook his head mournfully and said that the rules did not allow it. Rules! Is there nothing to life than stinking rules? I only wanted to enjoy life, not give anybody any trouble, drink a bit, have a woman now and then, that's all. That's all. Is it too much to ask?
Dearest dear Asma, I'm enjoying my work in the Anganwadi. I'm not just looking after the children, I'm also teaching them the alphabet. We have no books, you see. So, I draw the letters on the floor with chalk and I explain the drawings. We have such fun with the vowels. This is A, I tell them. A. Now when do you say A like that? Maybe when you want to show your tooth is shaking? Ah, yes? Now this is ah. When do you say ah like that? Maybe when you drink a cold glass of water on a hot day? Ah, yes, yes. And so we go down all the vowels. The children now make up their own stories. E is when you see a mouse in the corner. E is a baby crying. Oo is biting a green chili by mistake. Ooh is taking a cold bath early in the morning. A is to call somebody. A is to call somebody far away. And all the vowels together, they are for making faces. Ah, ee, ooh, eh. The children love it. It's funny, no?
After that disastrous evening with the DSP, I suddenly realized I needed a base of my own. I needed to wield power that I built up myself. I needed a career that would make me the undisputed master of all that I'd surveyed. I wanted them to cringe before me. The idiot DSP with his rules, the bloody postman, my stinking father.
Darling Asma, I am as confused as you are. I thought after I finished school, I would be clearer about things. But I'm not. I'm not. You know, Asma, I wanted so much to go to college. I thought you and I would go to college together, maybe in the city, and then... But now I wonder, what's the use? If your father doesn't want you to study anymore, but wants you to get married, what will you do? What will I do? You ask about my work. I have now moved from teaching children to teaching adults. Literacy classes for adult women. Again, there are no textbooks, so I have to manage the best way I can. Asma, I pretend you're here, just across at the window, that you can see me and hear me. I'm thinking of you, Asma. And I know you're thinking of me. Reading my letters, writing a reply.
So I started planning. I started to think of ways in which I could get even with the whole world. Take revenge. What a sweet word it is. Revenge. Hot, bloody fanged revenge. I would be like, what's his name? Shakuni, that schemer from the Mahabharata. I would be remembered, wouldn't I? So I started to mix with the masses, began to cultivate them, starting from my father's garment factory workers. It's all quite noble mixing with the masses, but some of them do stink. She never did. She always smelled of jasmine. Jasmine buds, white and tight.
Dear Asma, how unhappy these women are. What a miserable life they lead. It's not just the poverty, that's bad enough. It's also all the rules they have to follow because they're women. So many rules. Keep your legs closed. Keep your mouth shut. Don't dress up too much because the man will get attracted to you. Don't make demands because the man will get angry with you. Don't wear scent. Don't let the jasmine dangle in your hair. Don't swing your hips like a prostitute. Don't smile. Don't laugh.
How long did it take? 8, 9 years. 2 elections, in fact. By the time the campaigning had started for the second time, my father was terrified. He begged me to join him. Join his party. He cringed. He bloody cringed. But I was the leader of a major trade union. I had power. I had money. I had men who would do anything for me. I didn't want to be a mere MLA. That year my father won with the slenderest of margins. He knew and I knew. And he knew that I knew his political career was over. Finished. I did it! I bloody finished him!
Dear Asma, I'm finding it so difficult to teach the women. How can I teach them, Alifa? They're intelligent women, working in the factory, running a household. They are not 5 years old. It's such an insult to make them chant IE. And yes, I did try the same thing with them as I did with the children. Oh, Asma, what a difference. For the women, A is their husbands pinching their arm. A is a slap across the face. E is when he picks up a stick. E is when he hits her with the stick. U is when he pushes her out of the house. U is... I can't go on, Asma. It's a tale of unending horror. Unrelieved darkness. Blinding darkness.
So there I was. The modern Shakuni. The successful Shakuni. I'd conquered all my enemies. The idiot DSP had been sent off on a punishment posting to an even more godforsaken place than this. He begged me to retain him so that his children could finish their education. He's still waiting. As for the bloody postman, one of our men paid a little visit and 2 days later that fellow got a stroke and he died. Power. Sweet power. Better than alcohol. Better than... No. I wanted her. Wanted her so desperately. Just a whiff of jasmine and my legs would tremble, my hands would shake. My body outlines hers. Her mouth is hot on me. And jasmine is everywhere. White, tight jasmine.
Dear Asma, you wanted to know if I plan to make all the women in our country literate? I wish I could. In this district at least we have more and more women who can sign their own names, who know that the marks on paper have meaning and memory. Remember I told you I'd made my own textbooks? Simplified stories from the epics? The women have been poring over them. Yesterday, one of my favorite students, Devi, suddenly asked, why did Gandhari wear a bandage around her eyes? Gandhari was the queen who blindfolded herself because she found she was to marry a blind man. She stayed blindfolded all her life. So Devi asked, did Gandhari not know how to read and write? Was she blind like we were? Now we can see because now we can read and write. But what a stupid woman she was. Oh, Asma, I almost cried with joy. Devi, the others, they don't take anything for granted anymore. They insist that the drains outside their homes are cleaned. They supervise their children's schoolwork as much as they can. They even ask the doctor questions. How intelligent they are. How strong. And I agree with them. About Gandhari, she was stupid. She should have kept her eyes open and helped her husband with the kingdom. Blindfolding is just a way of escape.
So I thought I had it my way finally. The world was at my command. The men in the palm of my hand. They were like human dice. I could set them up, throw them down, do what I bloody liked with them. But as always with me, there was trouble lurking at the back door. The back door.
Dear Asma, my women are very upset with the teacher at the Anganwadi. She is apparently taking the milk and food meant for the children's midday meal. But how does one get proof? Teacher's a very clever woman and is a girlfriend of a man in the trade union. So we have to be careful. I'm especially worried because this man Babu, he's a part of Red Gooseberry Eyes gang. Did I tell you? Red Gooseberry Eyes is a big trade union leader now. I've seen him going in and out of the factory. He looks more and more like a Ravana.
The trouble started because of Babu, one of my faithfuls, strong as an ox, nearly as intelligent. He has a busty girlfriend who works at the child care center, who's apparently been accused of stealing. I know this woman. I'm pretty sure she's spilled some of that food stuff. But anyway, what the hell, if she was smart enough, she wouldn't get caught. But Babu told me that the women in the factory had ganged up against her and were making trouble. Bloody hell, I hated the sound of it even then. But I had to calm Babu down.
Asma, it was horrible yesterday. Devi was hiding near the Anganwadi and she caught the teacher carrying 2 bags full of food to her house. The woman insisted she got it from the shops, but Devi would not listen. There was a big fight. All the other women came running and so did the men. By the time I reached, Red Gooseberry Eyes was already there. I knew he would be. But he was on his best behavior and managed to calm everyone down. He said he would order an inquiry, and if the teacher was found guilty, she would be dismissed. The women were charmed. They said he was like Lord Rama, kingly and handsome, such a fine face. There were only 2 people there who did not believe him. Devi was one, and I was the other.
Bloody women! What a fight over some bags of food! And that Babu's girlfriend is as stupid as him. Did she have to get herself caught? Anyway, I charmed them into believing that I would set up an inquiry. How easy was it to do that? But there were 2 of them who were not convinced, I could see. One was that bloody sharp woman who caught the teacher. The other reminded me so piercingly of her that my legs trembled. The same presence of Jasmine. Shit.
No, Asma, don't worry. Things are calm. Only Devi is still fuming. And I know she's itching to catch that woman again. So am I. You should have seen the look on her face when Red Gooseberry Eyes started his buttery speech. So much triumph. She looked like a Rakshasi, like Ravana's sister, Shurpanakha. You keep asking me why I refer so much to Hindu mythology. I suppose it's because all these stories are a part of me. My religion gives me a god for every occasion, every mood, every life stage. Your God is pure, formless, a being who cannot be described. How can the sun be God, you ask? Or a monkey, or an elephant? Aren't you limiting God when you worship Him like that? But I think we do it because we feel everything is God. There's nowhere that He's not. All of the abundance of life is Him. And all the essence of life is also Him. My religion teaches me the abundance, and yours the essence. I'm becoming so philosophical, isn't it? I don't know why. But dear Asma, it feels very often as if something is coming close to an end.
I couldn't get that literacy woman out of my mind. Because of her, I was reminded of those nights, the ecstasy that I never experienced again. But that Babu was fuming, idiot. He said that his girlfriend had been grossly insulted. Apparently she was slapped. I let him rant on for a while. Then I gave him some money to go drown his sorrows. After he left, I thought of that literacy woman again. I wondered where she lived. I wanted to visit her.
Dear Asma, it's night and it's quiet everywhere. I can smell the jasmine in the air. Remember how we used to make jasmine garlands and wear them? Dear Asma, I can't live without you. Your thoughts outline mine. The world is alive because you've touched it. I'm you, I'm me, I'm us together. Was there ever such a love? Who's that? Who? Devi. Devi, what happened? My God!
Babu was late. Very late. He came reeling in with one of my other men, both of them stinking drunk. And then they told me what they had done. Bloody hell, I didn't know what to do. I gave them some more money and asked them to get the hell out of town.
Asma, she's dying. Devi's dying. They raped her, two of them, and then whipped her with a bicycle chain. I don't know how she managed to get here. I somehow took her to the hospital, but the doctors have given up hope. This is Babu's work, Asma. I know. Devi whispered his name to me before she...
The other must have been Red Gooseberry.
I'm sure of it.
Asma, I'll not let them go. I will not rest till they're hanged for what they did. I will take revenge. I swear it.
Dear Asma, I'm writing this in a great hurry so that it can catch the afternoon post. What you've read in the papers is true. Devi is dead. Factory is closed. All the women's groups in the district have come together. They are demonstrating outside the police station, the district magistrate's office, the trade union office. The town is paralyzed.
I'm trying to find a good lawyer to represent us, but nobody here is willing to go against the trade union. The police are refusing to even look for Babu. Red Gooseberry Eyes had the impudence to allow us to search for him in his house. Of course Babu wasn't there. I'm now getting ready to go to the women's groups in the city. I have to get support. I have to. Pray for me, Asma. The God who sees everything. Bye, my love.
They said she's going to the city to meet my father. That bloody old man would have given her a hearing, whipped up support for her just to get even with me. That bastard. I had to stop her. It was the same house. The same back door. The same presence of Jasmine. But it wasn't her. It was a devil. A biting, spitting she-devil. She screamed when I tried to hold her and accused me of rape. Oh God, I didn't mean to. I found her diary lying on the table. Brought it home. Been reading it over and over again for the last 3 days. Do you know who that literacy woman was? She was the brat I had educated, for whom I paid the school fees. God. See me sitting here on this old armchair, sitting back, apparently at peace. Yes, you're right. I'm not at peace. I've been out of my mind for the last 3 days. I'm really frightened. I must do something. Make sure nothing can be traced back to me. I must burn this diary. Nobody saw me go into the house. Nobody saw me come out. I am safe! I must be safe! Tomorrow or the day after, I'll go back to the factory, get them to open it. I will attend her funeral, make a heart-rending speech, praise her work, pray for her soul, and then the matter will all die down in a few days. Then Babu will be back. Who's that? Who's that? Who did you say? Asma.
Saturday afternoon. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please tell your friends and family. We have more shows, one more this evening at 6:30 and then 2 again tomorrow at 3 o'clock and at 6:30. Thank you for being here. This play was written in 2001, 17 years, and I don't think it's really dated. These conversations that are happening inside and outside theatres, and we thank you for being a part of them.